Good afternoon. I have the privilege of giving a proclamation to the Citizen of the Year, a proclamation honoring Sharon Major-Hughes as Citizen of the Year for 2015. Whereas Sharon Major-Hughes was born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, she attended Walker Elementary, Sunrise Middle School, Fort Lauderdale High School, and Plantation High School. And whereas for more than 20 years, Sharon Major-Hughes has volunteered her time, talent, and energy to help less fortunate youth in our community by providing food, clothing, shelter, supplies, and other necessities. And whereas in 2010, Sharon Major-Hughes founded Princes to Kings, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping at-risk school-age boys by providing free mentoring, tutoring, and life skills, while imparting the standards and principles needed to help them become successful, productive, and empowered members of our community. And whereas Prince to Kings helps young underprivileged males achieve their future goals through a variety of programs and activities that focus on leadership, responsibility, integrity, and respect. And whereas the organization's offerings include an annual literacy contest, anti-bullying forum and poetry contest, a Black History play, annual talent show, bowling day, community basketball tournament, and back-to-school readiness forum, and a supply giveaway. And whereas with the assistance and support of the City of Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Prince to Kings helps build positive relationships between law enforcement and children, while teaching youngsters how to interact with police in a positive manner. And whereas the success of Prince to Kings is a credit to the leadership, vision, and commitment of Sharon Major-Hughes, who serves as an exemplary role model and an inspiration to others seeking to make a difference in our community. Her success stories include 4 college graduates and 6 students who are the first in their respective families to graduate from high school. And whereas in an effort to reach even more youth in need, Sharon Major-Hughes recently began a sister organization, Princesses to Queens, to work with at-risk ladies and help lead them to a bright future. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by this City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that Sharon Major-Hughes is hereby selected and honored as Citizen of the Year of the City of Fort Lauderdale for 2015 in recognition for her many accomplishments and valuable contributions to the City of Fort Lauderdale, and that the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale hereby publicly recognizes and acknowledges these achievements and contributions, and does hereby express its heartfelt appreciation to Sharon Major-Hughes. That a plaque honoring Sharon Major-Hughes as Citizen of the Year of the City of Fort Lauderdale for 2015 shall be presented to her, and a portrait, which we've seen out in the atrium, shall hang in City Hall. That a parchment copy of this proclamation shall be furnished by the City Clerk to Sharon Major-Hughes as a further token of the sincere gratitude and appreciation of the City of Fort Lauderdale. Dated this 3rd day of November, 2015, signed by our Mayor, Jack P. Seiler. I would like to call Sharon to the podium to present a plaque. And the plaque reads, stand right here. The City of Fort Lauderdale, there can be no keener revelation of society's soul than a way in which it treats its children. Nelson Mandela. Citizen of the Year, 2015, Sharon Major-Hughes, for being an exemplary leader, role model, advocate, and mentor to youth of our community, and giving a strong voice to children in need, for providing uniforms, shoes, backpacks, school supplies to ensure our children are well prepared for success in the classroom, for touching the lives of thousands of youth by imparting valuable life lessons, instilling positive values, building character, enriching self-esteem, and helping guide young people toward a future filled with unlimited promise and opportunity. And I participated in probably 35 of her programs over the years. She's doing a great job. She's everywhere in the chair, and we cannot thank you enough for all that you do and will do. We present you this plaque, and along with your portrait in the atrium, bouquet of roses. And I want to say this, when she gives out the shoes to the children at the beginning of the school year, she has like 300 plus children. They go out 3 or 4 months ahead of time, and they have the correct shoe sizes for these kids.
I can't say thank you enough. It ain't about me. It's about the future of our kids. And I do appreciate it. I'm about to tear up right now. But I do appreciate that everybody taking notice that I'm trying to help the future of our kids. And I cannot do it without the help of the City of Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Chief Ellis, and McKinzie, Feldman, and Mr. Jack. Because when I call, they're available, they do come. And that's important. Kids need to see that. And they need to see that sometimes people in power positions do care. And I do appreciate it. Thank you again.
I do have the distinct honor and privilege of being able to present this proclamation to our honored founder. But at this time, if you don't mind, Romney, I'd like you to come down and join me, because I know you're a very good friend of the family, and while I'll read this proclamation, I think it's also be nice to have you here with us too. And Ed, I don't know if you want to come up with your family now, or you want to wait till after the proclamation is read, but that's up to you guys too. So, it's a proclamation honoring Stanford K. Spoker as honored founder for 2015. Whereas Stanford K. Spoker arrived in Fort Lauderdale with his family in 1956 and began an auspicious career in construction materials, which eventually propelled him into a position of prominent developer with a vision for the city's downtown. And whereas during a time when residents were leaving downtown Fort Lauderdale for the sprawling properties and suburban communities, Stanford Spoker recognized the potential of the New River and envisioned it as the heart of a thriving urban metropolis. And whereas Stanford Spoker gradually acquired 10 acres of property along the New River, and in the early 1970s announced plans for downtown Fort Lauderdale's first high-rise apartments with a sky bridge that would connect the residential towers on the north and south sides of the water. Eugenia, you hearing that type of thing, the sky bridge across the river? That's kind of a bad idea, right? So, okay. Whereas his friendship with pioneers Ivy Stranahan and Annie Beck instilled in Stanford Spoker the importance of safeguarding our local heritage, compelled him to save the historic 1907 King Cromartie House and the Annie Beck House, as well as countless mature trees in the area. And whereas although the county development led to changes to his high-rise plans decades ago, many of the parcels Stanford Spoker acquired along the New River are graced by luxurious modern buildings today, including the Las Olas Grand, the Water Garden, New River Landing. And while the scenic shaded tree space on the south side of the river has been named for the Spoker Family Park in his honor. And where Stanford viewed Fort Lauderdale as more than just a place to establish his business and raise his family, is reflected through his extensive civic involvement in numerous organizations committed to cultivating harmony and prosperity throughout our community. And whereas Stanford Spoker has dutifully served as trustee of the Fort Lauderdale Historical Society, vice president of tourism and new industries and foreign trade for the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce, president of the Fort Lauderdale Executive Associations, and was recognized as modern pioneer by the Broward County Historical Commission. And whereas Stanford Spoker is to be commended for his vision, as well as the time and resources that he selflessly invested in Fort Lauderdale, thereby creating a desirable city and a lasting legacy for future generations. And now therefore be it proclaimed by the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that Stanford K. Spoker is hereby selected and honored as honored founder of the City of Fort Lauderdale for 2015 in recognition of his many accomplishments and valuable contributions to the City of Fort Lauderdale. And the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale hereby publicly recognizes and acknowledges these achievements and contributions, and does hereby express its heartfelt appreciation to Stanford Spoker. That a plaque honoring Stanford Spoker as honored founder of the City of Fort Lauderdale for 2015 shall be placed in the lobby of Fort Lauderdale City Hall, and that as parchment of his proclamation shall be furnished by the City Clerk to Stanford Spoker as a further token of the sincere gratitude and appreciation of the City of Fort Lauderdale. It's dated this third day of November 2015 and signed by our Mayor, Your John P. Jack Seiler. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, committee members and Mr. Mayor, fellow commissioners. Any of you that know my dad, even the least bit, knows that whenever there's an opportunity to get in front of a podium, he's not going to pass it up. So I've been granted spokesperson, so I'm just going to read you some brief lines that he would like to share with you. It starts off with a quote by Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln once said that he appreciates a man who is proud of his city, but even more so, a city that is proud of its man. We already talked about our family coming here in 1956. We've all grown up here, and the county was 40,000 people when we first moved here. So we've seen a lot of really great things. We have deep roots in the community, and really appreciate all that all the officials do, and that the planning, the friendships, everything that goes on in the city. Since my dad moved here, he had two main goals. His first goal, and this has been since 1956, these goals have not changed. His first goal was to be the most well-liked man of every person he met. You all have helped that today. I'm sure this fulfills that to some degree, and he sincerely appreciates that. The second goal was to go to heaven. We're not going to do that today, but he's still working on that. So all of you are part of making that first goal a reality, and we really appreciate the honor, and we appreciate you all being here to help out with that. So on behalf of our family, and especially my father, we thank you sincerely from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you, Mayor. Greg, would you like to come up here? People often mistake us as twins. This proclamation honoring Greg Brewton as exemplary former city employee for 2015. Whereas Greg Brewton was born on December 2nd, 1953. We're almost the same age. How come you get to retire?
I'll tell you about that.
Okay. Grew up in Northwest Fort Lauderdale and is a proud graduate of Dillard High School. And whereas a standout on the gridiron, Greg Brewton received a football scholarship to Michigan State University, where he graduated with a degree in urban planning and design and was drafted into the National Football League by the St. Louis Cardinals. And whereas in 1979,
Hold on, G. They're showing a picture of him on the screen. You don't look like twins in that picture.
we were switched at birth. I didn't realize it was going to be like a...
We've even got a better one coming.
None of me, I hope. whereas in 1979, Greg returned to his hometown and began his career with the city of Fort Lauderdale as a planning assistant. Whereas over the next 3.5 decades, Greg Brewton would apply the same skills he learned on the football field: leadership, teamwork, discipline, and determination, to his distinguished career with the city, where he rose through the ranks to planner, principal planner, zoning administrator, deputy director, and finally director of the Department of Sustainable Development. Just couldn't keep it up, could you? And whereas throughout his tenure, Greg Brewton succeeded in planning, managing, and overseeing countless development projects and enhancements to our community while carrying out his duties with a charismatic personality, huge heart, and infectious smile. And whereas Greg Brewton's accolades include being a recipient of the Brian Piccolo Award, the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce Hall of Fame Award, and being a founding member of the 100 Black Men in America, an organization dedicated to the intellectual development and educational advancement of youth and the economic empowerment of the African American community. And finally, whereas upon his retirement in December 2014, the Department of Sustainable Development... Can we fast forward those slides a little bit?
Can you get all the hair in?
Whereas upon his retirement in December 2014, the Department of Sustainable Development the building was renamed as the Greg Brewton Sustainable Development Center in recognition of his lifelong contributions to the city, his dedication to building community, and his unwavering commitment to making Fort Lauderdale the city you never want to leave. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that 1. Greg Brewton is hereby selected and honored as exemplary former city employee of the City of Fort Lauderdale for 2015 in recognition of his many accomplishments and valuable contributions to our city, and that our City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale hereby publicly recognizes and acknowledges these achievements and contributions, and does hereby express its heartfelt appreciation to Greg Brewton. 2. That a plaque honoring Greg Brewton as exemplary former city employee of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida for 2014 shall be placed in Fort Lauderdale City Hall. And that a flag with your picture on it. No, I'm just kidding. That a parchment of this proclamation shall be furnished by the city clerk to Greg Brewton as a further token of the sincere gratitude and appreciation of the City of Fort Lauderdale. I'd also like to add that having worked here, you've also gained something that you were able to acquire through your employment, and that was your meeting your lovely wife, Angela. Angela, you want to come up here too? I think you're both sharing this award to some extent. I hired Angela to work for me as my commission assistant 10 years ago? Yes, 10 years ago. I'm So, dated this 3rd day of November, 2015, we hereby present to you this proclamation signed by our Mayor, John P. Jack Seiler. Thank you so much, Greg. Would you have a few words you'd like to say?
I do owe you that favor for hiring this beautiful young lady, and now I have a doctor in the house, Dr. Wilson Brewton. I want to give honor to God and also recognize the selection committee for having for a reason, whatever that is. I'm appreciative of it, of selecting me for this honor. I'm overwhelmed. I can tell you my last couple of years has been such a whirlwind of events that I'm sort of taken aback by the fact that, you don't recognize, how much people recognize what you do until you're pretty much done doing it. And all of a sudden, you start receiving these honors. To this commission, after my 35 years of serving this community, this city, this commission was a wonder for me to go out on, because these guys truly love Fort Lauderdale, and they want to do what's best for Fort Lauderdale, and their support is needed by each and every one of us. I don't want to stay a bit too long, but I got to recognize some people. First of all, I've recognized my wife and my stepdaughter, Sharon. But there's some city employees who are here. You know, when you work for the city, you don't do it by yourself. For me, it wasn't a job. You know, it was an honor and a privilege, because I recognized early in life that when you are seen out in the community, people don't care who you work for. The first thing they say is that you work for the city of Fort Lauderdale. So when you put that in front of everything, and you recognize that it is Fort Lauderdale that you're working for, what you're trying to do is make Fort Lauderdale the best that it could possibly be. When we started back in the 70s, Doug Egan and I were planners upstairs on the 8th floor, doing location maps and going out in the field taking pictures. I got Ed Uvardi and Mike Baez, just so many people. I can't recognize everyone, but the city staff, that last staff, Jenny, she's here, Jenny. Your staff, would you all please stand and be recognized, because it's because of you. I don't take things for granted. I was raised in Fort Lauderdale, didn't have a father in the house. My mother was a single parent that raised my brother and I. I'm a product of the 33311, Mr. McKinzie. And so I take pride in that. And there are people who come into your life who are there to support you when you don't have that father so in your life. So I just want to recognize, first of all, Johnny Alexander, Coach Green. That's my tree guy. These guys, when I say the tree, we sit up under the tree out at Carter Park every week, every day, and we talk about world issues. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but these guys know what they're talking about. My friend Avi. And I got to recognize one other guy who drove from Montana to be here. A guy that I've known for over 40 plus years. A guy that has been with me through the good times and the bad times. Someone that I could always trust in, a fellow Spartan, and a guy who I love dearly. Bob Heebner, who drove from Montana. Bob was former Brown So I'm honored, and it is with pleasure that I accept and receive this recognition. But I also just want to leave you with this, that as you see me here, I'm simply a product of what all of you have done to help mold and raise me. My friend Ozell Lewis, I see you back there, your wife Christine. And then I could go on and on. There's so many people, I'm sorry, I don't want to do that, but you made me what I am, and I'm thankful of that, and I do appreciate you, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as Jack said earlier, this is one of the fun times that we get to have as a commission. And for me, it's a personal privilege too, because as most of you know, I had the privilege of growing up here. Well, when I got through law school, got married, moved back to Fort Lauderdale, needed a place to live. I hung out with the parents for a while, they kicked me out. So I found a great place off of Los Olas, was owned by the Singers. Right? So I'm the tenant, he's the landlord. All right, so I'm starting to think about this. Did I send the check late? Did I bounce a check? I mean, I'm kind of worried about all this, but I think I was a pretty good tenant, at least I hope I was. And you know, I guess the bottom line is, when you're honored by your peers, that's a distinguished honor. So I'm not so sure if when you're honored by your tenant, but Don, come on up here anyway. So let let me read this Distinguished Citizen Award. Proclamation honoring Donald Singer as Distinguished Citizen for 2015. Whereas Donald Singer has been an accomplished architect in Fort Lauderdale since the 1960s, designing the M. Sterling Building, the City Park Plaza, the Fire Prevention Bureau, the Venice Center for Literary Arts and the Main Library, the FAU BCC Higher Education Complex, and of course Virginia Schumann Young. I drive by that every day. All in downtown Fort Lauderdale, and numerous others appealing modern spaces for living, learning, and working that dot the landscape of our city. And whereas throughout his career, Donald Singer has been extensively involved in civic, professional, and community endeavors, including serving as president of the Fort Lauderdale Downtown Council, chairman of the Broward County Art and Public Places Board, the Cultural Arts Council, and Design Broward, vice chair of the Fort Lauderdale Sign Advisory Board, and is a member of the Board of Trustees of the Museum of Art and the Museum of Discovery and Science. And whereas, even during its retirement, Donald Singer showed no signs of slowing down. He continued to give back to our community by working with a group of citizens interested in developing a master plan for downtown Fort Lauderdale, and helped guide the plan through many hurdles on its way to final passage by the City Commission in November of 2003. And whereas Donald Singer has helped bring downtown Fort Lauderdale's vision for the next 10 to 20 years into focus by incorporating the need for expanded connectivity, public space, transit, and pedestrian-friendly streets in an effort to advance smart growth principles while preserving the architectural character that makes Fort Lauderdale unique. And whereas Donald Singer's high aspirations, coupled with his immense talent and unquenching desire, resulted in a body of work that is as voluminous as it is awe-inspiring. And whereas his appreciation of Fort Lauderdale's lifestyle greatly contributed to his comfortable and elegant designs, an architectural style that resulted in urban, dynamic, harmonious, and appealing modern spaces that today are being emulated by a new generation of architects. And whereas Donald Singer has been honored with close to 100 local, state, and national awards for his outstanding projects and architectural design that have brought beauty, recognition, and prestige to our city. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that Donald Singer is hereby selected and honored as Distinguished Citizen of the City of Fort Lauderdale for 2015 in recognition of his many accomplishments and valuable contributions to the City of Fort Lauderdale, and that the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale hereby publicly recognize and acknowledge these achievements and contributions and does hereby express its heartfelt appreciation to Don Singer. That a bronze plaque honoring Don Singer as a Distinguished Citizen of the City of Fort Lauderdale for 2015 shall be placed in the courtyard of Fort Lauderdale City Hall, and that a parchment copy of this proclamation shall be furnished by the City Clerk to Donald Singer as a further token of the sincere gratitude and appreciation of the city. Dated this third day of November 2015 and signed by Honorable Mayor John P. Jack Seiler. Donald, congratulations.
This is quite an honor, and the only thing I regret is having to follow that wonderful talk by Greg Brewton. Broward County has been my home since Harry Truman was president. As you might imagine, it was a much different place than what we take for granted today. 53 years ago, 1962, when Elaine and I chose to make Fort Lauderdale our permanent home, Birch Willey had the wonderful hobby house on 2nd Street. And Pop and Morris Sterling had a widely known shop on what was then known as Wall Street, and they were the ones to see for men's clothing. We sat on benches at War Memorial Auditorium to see the theater and hear the opera. The Museum of Art was a mere storefront on Los Olas Boulevard and was run by volunteers. Our mayor was Ed Burry.
Our city was a small community made up of people from other places with allegiances back home. And many downtown businesses packed up and went to Petoskey, Michigan for the summer. So we were here for, and we got to be a part of, the enormous amount of positive change that formed the physical community we have today. As an architect, my main interest has been to work to improve our physical environment, and we happen to be here at the right moment in time. It's been a privilege to be actively involved as our city grew, and I thank you, Mayor Seiler, commissioners, members of the committee, for allowing us to be a part of that growth and a part of the city of Fort Lauderdale. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to unveil this on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go. Distinguished